my name is Michael Jones. I'm a Texas realtor, and I've been doing this for some time now. And I just want to reach out to you guys so we can reach out to everybody else on um, information about inspections and how important it is, and also how big of a deal it is when it comes to being on the contract and you have your option period. I'll
Yeah.
go into detail later about how you actually, your company was able to do an inspection for us, and because we got that inspection report, we got a big amount back for in concessions. It was actually too much that we had to remove the money already. So we'll go into
Wow.
details about that.
That's
Yeah,
cool. That's real cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we appreciate it. But if you don't
Yeah.
mind, telling us who you are and what company you with, or you
Okay,
have.
yeah. My name is Douglas Hayes. I'm the owner, founder, whatever you want to call me, of HTX Home Inspections. We're a multi-inspector firm. It's me and I have another inspector, and I also have an office manager. So you call in, that's most likely who you're going to get. But yeah, we've been in the inspection business now. This is actually our third year, believe it or not, and we've seen explosive growth in these 3 years. And all I can do is just say thank you to everybody that's supported our business, believe in what we do. And in return, we just try to go out and provide that level of service that we expect individually, ourselves. So that's kind of what we try to give back to our clients.
Right. Okay, so I mean, speaking of inspectors and inspections, most people like if they get a new building. I've seen your videos about new builds as well, but I've been following you for some time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I kind of invited you out. I love your social
Yeah,
media presence.
appreciate it.
I only strive to be
Appreciate
like yours.
it.
Once I get my presence up just a little bit,
Yeah.
but so inspections, I actually had clients that will completely opt out on new build inspections, and there was a couple of cases where I have clients opt out of option period, for an inspector to come through and look at everything um, on a resale. Can
Yeah.
you? I know why it's important, but can you explain to everybody why is it important to get the inspection done?
I mean, the inspection is important, number one, because especially on new construction.
Mm.
I mean, everybody sees how fast they build these houses
Yeah,
nowadays. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the home is going to fall down on you because in most cases, it's not. But when you have so many different contractors going through those homes, they're all they have a certain amount of time that they have to be in that house and then get to the next one. So we all know how people rush. So as they're rushing to try to get these homes fixed, things get missed. So prime example of something being missed. I inspected a property and it was a new construction, and I checked the furnace. Well, this home had two furnaces, and one of the furnaces wasn't even plumbed for a gas line.
mm,
But that's in a new construction home. So, that just tells you that things will get missed. So it's very important to get that inspector out there because the inspector is going to check all these different things that go into the home, whether it's electrical, plumbing, HVAC system, roof, foundation. That's what we're going to look into to make sure that these things are functioning the way they're supposed to function. I do know, and you've probably seen this yourself, builders will tell clients, well, we got our own inspector,
right,
we'll inspect it.
right,
There's a difference. I'm not knocking their inspectors. It's just their inspectors is not going to do the type inspection we do.
right,
They're going in there for specified things. They'll run the air conditioner, but they're not going to check to see if the temperature is right. They're just going to run it. They may
right,
go check one outlet, we check all outlets. They may check one window, we check all windows. So there is a big difference in what the builder inspector does versus what we do. That's why it's imperative for you to get that home inspection. A resale home, same thing. Resale homes, without a doubt. Don't Please don't skip an
yeah,
inspection
right,
on the resale home. I don't even have to go into details on that. So
right.
yeah.
Yeah, so back to the we'll go back to resale because I mean resale we can talk about that all day, but new builds are
Exactly.
just as important as resale. I mean, I had a client, like I said, new builds on my clients always opt out because the builders, they're there when we sign that contract. They write that contract out.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
we're there just to show support and guide them
Yeah.
to make sure they got things in order for them. But
Uh-huh.
when it was time to close, it was like a couple of weeks out. Actually, it was about a week out to closing. Of course, they opt out on the inspection. We went upstairs. There was a hole in the wall to a second floor to the left, next to the guest bedroom. There was a hole in the wall for whatever purpose. I think it's right underneath the AC, the thermostat. So I guess it was
Yeah.
working on it. It left the
Yeah.
hole there, and we were about to close. And we told the inspector, we told the contractor manager,
Yeah.
say, hey, go ahead and get this fixed, or we're not going to close. But my
Uh-huh.
client at that time, he really wanted to close. Everybody's eager to close. They want to close on
Hmm.
time. So when it came back to that date and we did that final walkthrough, and I still
Yeah.
seen that hole there, I was like, hey, I advise you not to close because if you close on this house, they're gonna make sure you put in a claim because you got a warranty.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
That
builder's
1 year
warranty,
warranty.
right?
Yeah.
But you put in a claim in and you use that one shot or however many times you get to go ahead and
Hmm.
make sure that's get fixed. So he uses one time just to get it fixed, and now he doesn't have any chance of having somebody come back and fix that.
Yeah.
So he ended up getting it fixed, but nobody wants to buy a brand new home with a
No.
hole in it.
No.
Of course I didn't advise that, but
Yeah.
in your case, when they hire an inspector like yourself or your company, someone within
Mhm.
your company, um, is there multiple times y'all go in and inspect on each part of the stages? Are they able to hire you guys to do that on each stage of the process?
Of the bill, yes, they have what's called a phase inspection. So, and the home building process is in basically three phases.
Okay.
You got your pre-pour, which is right before they pour the foundation. We actually don't offer that service right now,
Mhm.
the pre-pour service, but we offer the last two phases, which is the pre-drywall and then the final inspection. Pre-drywall, for those that's listening, that's before they put the sheetrock up in the home. So they'll probably have some of the exterior walls up, and then when you get on the interior, all you're going to see is studs. That's the pre-drywall phase. So we can come out and do that, and then with the final phase, we'll come out and do that. Even after the final phase, let's just say we come out and inspect the property, and as a client, you don't like what you're seeing in the inspection report, and say that sometimes clients don't have that good of a relationship with the construction manager and the builder, and so they don't trust them. So sometimes they'll have me come back out after the initial inspection because what happens, I'll do my initial inspection, they'll turn over the information to the builder. The builder will say, we fixed everything.
Mm. Yeah.
Then the client can say, okay, well, you know what? I want my inspector to come back out to check what y'all said y'all fixed. And so we can come back out and check to make sure that the builder fixed the things that they claim they fixed. Most of the times, I will tell people this. Most of the times when we come back out to check things that the builder claim they fixed, they don't fix everything.
Right.
They're going to fix the major things. Some of the other little stuff sometimes they won't fix. And for various reasons.
Right. I mean, budget cut or just something they prefer not to do or something like that.
Well, it's a lot of times what they'll do is they'll point to code because
Mm.
every jurisdiction has a
Right.
different building code, right? Well,
Right.
as an inspector, we inspect on a national building code. We're not code inspectors, but we use a national building code.
Right.
Um, as far as builders, they focus on the local jurisdiction and what it says. And so the local jurisdiction trumps national building codes and practices. So they can always go back and say, well, our local jurisdiction says we don't have to do that. And they're probably right. You can try to fight it. They won't do anything with it because they don't have to.
Right.
But that's only on certain things. It's Sometimes it'll be an electrical something or HVAC something. Most of the times when they throw that at you, that local jurisdiction stuff, it's usually in the electrical area, because electrical has probably the most changes in building codes and practices than any of the other um, mechanical issues in the home.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what just kind of piggyback on everything we just spoke about
Mhm.
just now. As far as new builds and also resales, what exactly is what exactly do you see commonly as far as new builds or resales? What is it? Something you see
And
commonly in reports?
I mean, new builds most of the times. I would say the biggest issue with new builds would usually be the HVAC system. It's
Okay.
not cooling like it should. That's usually something we see all the time. The second thing would be in the electrical area, because like I said, these jurisdictions and kind of how we go about inspecting. So usually you're going to have some issues there in the electrical department. It's rare you see things in plumbing area. You will run across something here and there, but not a lot of times. Roofing products, foundation, usually all that stuff is good. So I would say the two biggest issues would be in the HVAC system and the electrical. As far as resale, it's across the board. And it's really all about the
Yeah.
age of the home.
Right.
If that house is 18 to 20 years old or older,
Hmm.
oh, it's wide ranging. And it's mainly due to the fact, some people just don't understand that the home has to be maintained.
Right.
That mechanical equipment, stuff like that, it does age. Water heaters, you see that a lot in resale homes where the water heaters are, at the end of their useful life. HVAC systems, sometimes you see that at the same thing. When you get to the resale homes, roofs usually are one that sticks out because people, a roof is a big expense.
Right.
Nobody wants to replace a roof. So
Can I interrupt you on the roof
yeah,
situation?
yeah,
So I've seen on reports where they would say like, well, on my end, when you get the
yeah.
agent remarks, it says something about new roof,
Uh-huh.
and then we get a report back, and then it says that there's just an extra layer on top of it. It hasn't been completely replaced. It's just been extra shingles that have been placed on top. Can you
Yeah.
explain why they do that? Not explain why they do that. I'm pretty sure
Uh-huh.
I know the reason why, but like why is that a bad thing to do?
Well, number one, you don't want to have two layers of shingles because it adds weight to the roof.
Right.
That's number one. And number two, now that lower level could be holding moisture.
Right.
And so if that decking underneath is holding moisture, then it's going to eventually just rot through. So you see that happen most of the time. You see where they'll put shingles on top of shingles if they're trying to repair an area. Like
Right.
if it could be a roof penetration or something like that, they may go in and repair it. If they do it right, they'll remove the old shingles, put new shingles. But then sometimes in some of these, somebody's cousin, they'll just go and put shingles on top of shingles,
Right.
and that's not how you do it. But no, those are the reasons why you really don't want to put shingles on top of shingles. It doesn't allow them to actually breathe. It doesn't allow that roof decking to get the kind of airflow that it needs to. Um, and that's what it caused that decking to kind of rot out over a period of time.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to
But
mention that because I've seen that come across a lot, especially during the cold COVID era.
uh-huh.
A lot of people, we get a lot of people saying new build, not new build homes, but like completely been remodeled. Roof is
Uh-huh.
2021, 2022, and you get to
Yeah.
the roof, you see this thick layer of shingles, and you see
Yeah.
moisture underneath. I've always tell my clients, let's go in the attic. Every single, like, as long as
Yep.
it's somebody's willing to go in the attic, we all go up in the attic. We check, we look up, we look down
Hmm.
on the ceiling, see any
Yep.
moisture. We look for a lot of stuff. And I always disclose to them. They kind of get annoyed, but they laugh at it too. I say, "Hey, look,
Yeah.
I'm looking up, I'm looking down. I see something, but hey, I'm not an inspector. hire an inspector, but and it's kind of weird. I just go
Yeah.
house to house. I just tell them, I'm not an inspector, but I do see this, I do see that. The inspector might
Yeah.
see this. I try to keep an eye on things that inspectors might come up with.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
just so they
that's
know.
good. That's a good way to do it because I will say this as an inspector to realtors. When you're bringing your clients out and you're showing them resale homes, as a realtor, you should be able to walk around that house and identify things that the inspector is going to point out.
Right.
And when there are these big ticket items, that helps because now you can prepare your client for what they're going to see in that report.
Right.
And it also gives them an idea if they really want to buy that house or not, because they know they're going to see some big ticket items that they may not want to deal with when the time comes. So yeah, I mean, it's all about learning, kind of trying to find those things that you can identify easily to say, okay, this is what the inspector, you may see this in your report. So it really helps out from a realtor standpoint.
Right. So I kind of want to dive into the reports itself
Yeah.
and option periods. I can
Uh-huh.
explain the option period as far as when you go under contract. Usually, we have an option in our 1 to 4 contract, which is an offer.
Yeah.
We have an option to put how much money we're going to put down. I usually put like $100 for a few
Hmm.
days, um, and we use those few days to hire an inspector like yourself or inspection company like your
Yeah.
company to come in and inspect the home, make sure it's in whatever condition. Now, I tell my clients the inspector is not, although they're professional and they done everything they need to do to get to where they're at, they're
Yeah.
not professionals in that area. So if you notice a
Yeah.
plumbing leak, you know, they're not going to tell you exactly what's wrong with that plumbing.
Yeah.
They'll give you like you guys will always advise us to go hire a plumber to go look at that leak.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have to tell my clients that because they always think like, hey, and sometimes they will call the inspectors like, hey, what's going on with this problem? Can you give me more details? And in reality, I'll just point out what's going on with the house, and where
Yeah.
it's like realtors. We tell them, or what I tell them, if I see something, I point it out. But I say, hey, go to inspector. You're gonna say the same thing. Hey, I see that. You point it out. You put in an official
Yeah.
report, and then you tell them go hire that professional in that particular area. Um,
Exactly.
but for that option period, why is it important to hire an inspector? Because you don't have to hire an inspector. You can have a plumber just go look at that particular item. So
Well, it's kind of like you just said earlier. I mean, we're not professionals in any trade, but we know enough about all of those trades
right,
to be able to go out there at that house and point out the things that we identify. So hiring that inspector will give you more information on the overall scope of the home instead of going out hiring 10 different trades to try to come out in that short option window you have to try to get that home inspected. And on top of that, you're going to pay each one of those trades to come out to look at it.
right.
So it's better to
Good
hire
point.
that home inspector. You have that one fee. He can get out there faster. He can get it inspected. He can produce your report that same day. In most cases, we produce our reports the same day, so you're
Right,
going to get it the same day. Most inspectors do, but you get that report the same day. You can go through it. You can pick. Okay, I need a plumber. I need an electrician. You're done. The very next morning, you can get on the phone. You as a realtor may know some people. You can have them go over there, check those things out for the client, and then you're moving on to the next step of that home buying process. So it's always best to just kind of get that home inspector because they are knowledgeable in all these areas, and some are more knowledgeable than others. So that's something you have to keep in mind too. We can't. The reason why most inspectors won't say where things, why it's happening, or where it's coming from, because we really don't know.
right,
You can assume everything, but if you assume something, sometimes people take those assumptions as the gospel. And it's kind of like, oh, my inspector said this, and then when a licensed professional come out, they're going to say, no, it's this. Well, that licensed professional may be telling you something that costs 3 or 4 times what that home inspector told you.
Right.
And so now that's where things kind of go sideways. So, we try to stay away from that, but we still try to give you as much information as we can, without getting ourselves in the middle of something that we won't be able to get out of.
And to be honest, I mean, what you got, the information y'all provide is
Mhm.
plenty to go off of, especially
Yeah,
on my end.
yeah,
I mean, my
yeah,
end, my job is to get the best deal possible, and the market
exactly.
that wherever condition the market is in, that's my job,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
But the information y'all provide, you guys provide enough information. I mean, pages and pages and pages of information.
yeah,
Especially I like how you guys write y'all stuff, y'all reports out. You give
hmm,
what's wrong, like not what's wrong, but what you see. You
yeah,
give an explanation, and then you tell them,
yeah,
hey, this usually this might be the case, but seek
yeah,
a professional. So
yeah.
I mean that covers everybody basis, realtor,
Hmm.
yourself, and the clients or the
Yeah,
home buyers. Um,
exactly.
but they're able to go in and do whatever they need to do, whether say yay or nay or negotiate. Um,
Yeah.
but this is a good time to mention that how you guys are able to help us out. Get I think we're at so a little bit over 10,000 and
Okay.
concessions contributions to
Wow.
a buyer. So I can't remember exactly what the items are on the report, but
Uh-huh.
the report came back pretty clean. When we saw the report, it came back pretty clean. There was no big ticket items. There was probably
Uh-huh.
standard things of like the electric panels, aluminum wires. You see
Yeah.
that across a lot of reports.
Hmm.
Um, Probably there was some soffit damage. You know,
Yeah.
um, some minor things like that. My
Yeah.
client thought that was okay. He's like, yeah, I can fix that, no problem. But
Okay.
realtors, like we know we need to use that to go off something. So we took
Yeah.
that. We able to take y'all's report and kind of pick and choose those items.
Mhm.
It's not a secret. I kind of feel like I shouldn't be saying this, but yeah, we use those big ticket items and we use it to go ahead and negotiate and get money back that the buyer needs. So we was
Yeah.
able to get back about I think 10,000. It'll be a post out here in a couple of weeks when we close. Which got
Okay.
he just got approved, so we should be closing here in a couple of weeks. But it's over 10,000 that we negotiated. But how that normally works is, say if to the viewers, how that normally works is say if there's you guys notice something wrong with the plumbing, the plumbing's leaking underneath
Mhm.
the sink. It's not a big ticket item. I mean, it's open. There's no cutting or anything like that. I'm just using a scenario that's not even going to happen. But it's you see something's leaking underneath the sink, so you we bring that report. I put it up, type up my own report,
Mhm.
send it out to the seller, the other agent, which gets translated to the seller, and we
Yeah.
just negotiate the price on that to see how much it's going to cost to fix. Usually, I just throw out a
Mhm.
number that I feel like my client's going to need, and they got to accept it or not. But it's a good base,
Uh,
a good line to start off at, and then we kind of work
mhm.
our way down or up, to get where we need for the deal to happen. So I try to tell my clients we actually have disclosures in our brokerage to say, hey, if you don't hire a inspector, that's on you. Because
Yeah.
it's really beneficial to hire an inspector on all aspects. I mean, you get back
Yeah.
your money back. The money that you spend to hire an inspector, you get that back tenfold. You know, even when the pandemic is happening, nobody's getting concessions. I still have some clients give back concessions due to the
Yeah.
reports. So it's really
Yeah.
important to hire an inspector so you can have less money to close with. That money
Exactly.
normally when we negotiate goes back to you in a
Mhm.
way through seller contributions, of course, and it takes off your closing costs.
Yeah.
So you got a down payment, closing costs, and of course you got the earnest
Mhm.
money at the beginning, but you're helping getting that taken care of on the closing costs. And if you got your down
Yeah.
payment taken care of through other programs, you got kind of two things being taken care of. So that's how I kind of get clients in for a few hundred to a few $1,000s at closing.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
I just kind of want to throw that out there for the viewers when they see this part of the video that you know inspectors are they're a lifesaver.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's funny you say that. I didn't even think about that portion of it. As far as getting those concessions and how that really covers your inspection fees. Because what I see, some of the biggest usage I see right now, especially like when the interest rates change, there's a lot of people that'll call, and they'll want to book an inspection, and then when you tell them what the fee is, they, it's too much, or they feel like you're too high or whatever, and they want to find somebody that can do it a lot cheaper and all that. And then some people just don't get them inspected, period, because they don't want to pay that fee.
Yeah.
Um, and like you said, I mean, I've said this before in the past. These inspection reports are negotiation too. You know, they not only tell you what's going on with the home, you're able to negotiate too. And you can take that report and like, okay, I mean, it's funny you're saying this because I was just looking at I did an inspection the other day, and the client put together the client did now, not the realtor. The client did this, put
Okay.
together a list of the things they wanted done and how much money they wanted back,
Okay.
right? And it came up to right at $11,000. And they sent it to me, and they were like, "What do you think?" Now, this is based off of my inspection report. And
Okay.
so they sent it to me, and I looked at it. And of course, I don't know, what this stuff costs. They were asking me, and I'm just like, looks okay to me. If you're okay with it, I'm okay with it, right?
Right.
So, but in my mind, I'm sitting here thinking now that we're talking about this, it's like, if he gets back almost $11,000, he just paid for his inspection,
Right.
20-fold. So
Yeah.
it's like, and then on top of that, he's able to come that $11,000 comes off of the sale price of that home. So it's like,
Saves you so
you
much.
know, yeah,
Yeah.
the report does so many things. So I mean, people have to understand. Don't run away from an inspection just because the inspector told you, "Oh, your inspection is going to be $400."
Yeah.
Trust me, it'll be worth it in the end. So,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
uh,
And it's all about education. I'm big on like every one of my clients. They down with me before we even put an application in, before we even
yeah,
talk business. I sit down with them for at least an hour. I
mhm,
make sure we got some food if we need to, some water if we need to.
yeah,
We sit
yeah,
down for at least an hour and I educate them from A to Z. Inspection
yeah,
included is in there. Option periods included. So when it's time for that time, so they have the layout in
mhm,
their head, and it's time for that option period time to hire somebody. They're like,
yeah,
oh no, Mike already told me it's going to be 300 to 400. You know, and some inspectors cost like 600, which is crazy. I had one
yeah.
inspector
I mean,
cost 600. Yeah,
yeah, it just, and a lot what people, for the listeners out there, the home inspection is based on square footage,
right.
and
It's one a big
so
house. This one a big
say that.
house. This wasn't a big house.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
but
And
I
so
get it.
some houses, I mean, the average inspection cost in this Houston market is anywhere from 375 to 400.
Right,
That's kind of your basic inspection for a smaller home. Say 1,500 square feet, maybe up to 2,000, somewhere in that range. But then once you get over 2,000, that's when they start going up.
right.
And so it can get up to, and like you said though, there are some inspection companies out there that are charge $600 for a 1,500 square foot home. But that's usually the bigger firms.
Yeah, and I usually give out a couple of inspectors to my clients,
Mhm.
so they can make their own choice, liability reasons.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
um, the ones that offer like $600 for an inspection, they do
mhm,
like all this infrared cameras and stuff like that. You can see the moisture just by looking up. Looking up to the
yeah,
ceiling, or if you're in the attic looking down, you can see the moisture.
yeah,
Whatever they decide, my clients decide to do, that's on them. That's what they decide
yeah,
to do. But in my personal
mhm,
opinion, just personal, not professional, you know,
yeah,
I can see everything I need to see with my eyes. Just like when you
yeah.
guys do the reports, it's not based off cameras.
No,
Unless you're doing
no,
the inspection on the roof itself.
yeah,
You guys either use that stick or nowadays people use drones.
yeah,
So
yeah,
uh, uh, it's to each their own. Everybody uses their
yeah,
own thing.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's all kind of devices and tools that's out there that inspectors use to try to, amplify their business, so to speak. We do the thermal imaging, but we only do it in certain areas. Now, like you said, if you see water stains, you can see water stains a mile away. You can see if drywall is wet. I mean, so yeah, but believe believe it, even though they're telling you it's included,
Yeah.
you're paying for it.
Right.
So nothing. I'm pretty sure everybody know that nothing is free.
All right.
So
And as
yeah.
far as the tools itself, what exactly are you guys using for, like, say, the base inspection versus the more higher end inspection with the tools that the infrared and stuff
I
like that?
mean,
What's the difference between the two?
your basic inspection, probably the only couple of tools people are going to use. Of course, they have to test the outlets in the home, and most people nowadays use drones to do the roof.
Hmm.
But then there's still some people who won't even walk. They won't even inspect the roof if it's two-story,
Okay.
and they can actually opt out of that just because they consider it unsafe. Trying to walk a steep roof or a two-story roof.
I
Trust me,
didn't know that.
I've heard that from realtors that have seen me flying my drone, and I'll be inspecting the roof, and they'll come out. What are you doing? And I'm like, inspecting the roof, and they actually started working with me because of that.
Nice.
It's crazy, but yeah, I mean, we as inspectors, if we feel a roof is unsafe for us to walk, we don't have to use a drone. We can just mark it as unsafe, and nothing will happen.
Oh, okay. So is that like when I get the report, say like it's like too dark or it's rain or something like that, y'all would disclose the condition of the weather or something like that, the situation, and said due to this,
Hmm.
I'm not able to do this. So that's the same thing with
Yep.
the roof.
Yep.
Didn't know that.
Same thing.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But we did what we do. Reason why I use a drone because I want to inspect the roof. I want to inspect every roof.
Right.
So we use that drone so we can get a look at the roof. The thermal imaging camera, we only use that in the breaker panel, your shower pan areas, and at your HVAC system in the attic, just to see if you see any air leaking, things like that, water leaks around your pans, and then your breaker panel for heat purposes, to see if you got anything in there that's hotter than normal. So that's what we'll use the thermal imaging. Um, what other tools do we use? I mean, we have moisture meters, gas detectors, and all that, but those things they're rarely used. You can smell gas if it's leaking, number one. And as far as if we see a spot for moisture, we will get the detector out to verify that that's what it is. Uh, but other than that, the main tools we use, drones and outlet testers and our
Yeah.
thermal imaging
Yeah.
cameras. Those are the main things. A basic inspection, the outlet tester, that's about it. They don't have, I mean, they can opt out of a roof if it's unsafe. They don't have to. We don't have to use thermal imaging cameras. That's just something that most inspectors use, just to kind of give them a little edge over the competition, so to speak.
Yeah. I get it. Now,
Yeah.
do you have any advice for like first time home buyers? Because usually people who are seeking out information is those first time home buyers. Do you
Hmm.
have any advice from your perspective about the process or any advice you can give them?
Yeah. Number one, don't skip the home inspection. That
Right.
that's the best advice.
Right.
Don't skip it. Number two, have an understanding what goes into the home inspection process. You know, if you have an inspector that you're thinking about using, research them. Check them out on Google. Look and see if they have a website. See what other people are saying about them. Ask your friends; they may know somebody that they've had a great interaction with. Referrals are the thing now. So those are some of the things as a new home buyer you can do to help yourself. Um, don't go out and always try to find the cheapest guy. Because what a lot of people don't understand about home inspection, there's two types of home inspectors. They have one, as a home inspector, we have a standards of practice that we have to follow. That TREC, Texas Real Estate Commission, um, they tell us, okay, look, this is what you have to do for a basic home inspection. I mean, it's stripped down, but it's going to cover most things, right? Most of your big ticket items, stuff like that. As an inspector, we all know this is what we have to do. We all have to follow that. But then there are some inspectors that'll go above and beyond that. And that's kind of where we land. We land in the above and beyond because we start getting into things where, like I said, we're not code inspectors, so to speak, but we use code. And so when we see things that kind of we know it's a code issue,
Right.
we'll call it out.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the basic inspection,
Right.
basic standards of practice inspection, they have some code stuff in there, but it doesn't go as deep as we go.
Right.
So that's the difference. So when you're trying to, to people out there in the market trying to get a home inspector, and you get this guy that say, "Oh, I come out and do your inspection for $275." Just know that you may not be getting the same type of inspection that somebody else is going to provide. He's going to have to follow the standards of practice no matter what, and you may be okay, but I always say try to find that person, that you feel like it's going to give you the most bang for your buck. Don't worry about what it's going to cost you. Yeah, if you got a 1,500 square foot home and somebody tell you it's going to cost you $700, run.
Right.
Because
Right.
that's ridiculous, right? But if you reach out to somebody, 1,500 square foot house, they charge you $395, $400. Research them, check them out on Google, look at their reviews, check out their website. Those are just some of the things that you can use yourself and just kind of get a feel for the person. Give them a call,
Right.
see what they're talking about, see what type of response you're getting from them. Do they respond like they should? Do they answer the phone professionally? All those little things matter, in
Right.
my opinion, when you're trying to hire an inspector, because that's what I would look for if I was a first time home buyer.
Right. And first, I mean, when I first started in this industry, I had a client that would hire the cheapest route possible. We end up
Mm-hmm.
spending more money just to. I'll tell you a story. So real quick. So when I first got out here in this industry, I had a client. She found a really good deal on the house. I think the house was like 150, 160. I
Yeah.
think 200, 300, almost 300 plus. But
Yeah.
she hired an inspector. I gave her the three that I recommended at the time. She chose the easier way, the cheapest route,
Yeah.
and they did the report. Report came back fine, but there was just one item on there, which is the foundation, the biggest thing that you can have wrong with the house. They pointed out, oh, there might be some foundation issue, and I'm looking around, like I don't see any signs of foundation issue, but he's a professional, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm the realtor, he's the inspector, so. We went that route, and I talked to the buyer's agent, not buyers. I talked to the sellers and the seller's agent, and we trying to figure out, hey, there's obviously on the inspection report it says that there's a problem with the foundation. We
Yeah.
need to work something out. And my client was like, I don't even want to touch this house if there's a foundation problem.
Yeah.
And I was confident in what I knew, so I personally, hired somebody.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let me take care of this. Let me hire somebody, make sure. I hired a foundation specialist to
Yeah.
go look at the house. They came back with this machine, put it in the center of the house, and they
Mhm.
test the levels of each side. You know how
Yeah.
you've seen those before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the house was just fine. So I just say all that to say, like, going the cheaper route can send you through some heartaches through the process, when the process sometimes can be a heartache in itself.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah. The home inspection process is scary to some people because
right.
they're on pins and needles trying to figure out what they're going to get back. So that's why it's always imperative to hire somebody that you feel good about. Don't worry about. I mean, if you're worried about what it's going to cost you, then you probably shouldn't be buying a home right now anyway. So
Yeah.
I mean, because if you're going into like everybody knows, buying a home is your largest investment.
Right.
That's the biggest purchase anybody is going to buy. So it's kind of like, why would you want to cheap out on something that's going to be so big,
Yeah.
And so nobody's telling you to go spend an arm and a leg for a home inspection, but do your due diligence. Make sure that the person you're hiring they're going to be there for you. They're going to answer your calls. They're going to answer your questions. You know, other people have had great, interactions with these people, and that way you can feel good about them when you hire them and have them come out and do that inspection. That, like I said earlier, the average inspection starts around $375 to $400.
Right.
That's not a lot for the largest investment you're gonna have in your life in your
Not even
lifetime.
close.
And on top of that, if he's a good inspector, like we mentioned earlier, it'll help you with concessions in the end anyway.
Right.
So it's going to pay for itself. So you know,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Well, I want to go ahead and tie things up. I appreciate your time. I know you just got back from other inspections and handling your
yeah.
day. It's kind of late for us today, but can you tell the viewers out there that eventually is going to watch this where they can find you and how can they get in contact with you?
Yes, you can go and check out my website at www.htxhomeinspection.com. We're on all social media platforms under HTX Home Inspections. So Facebook, Instagram, yeah. What is the new one? TikTok.
TikTok,
Yeah,
yeah.
we got a little bit
Trying to
on
get to
TikTok. Yeah.
that.
So and we're trying to get our YouTube page up and going as well. But yeah, check us out. Give us a follow. We have a lot of great information on Instagram, like you alluded to earlier in the program, and just a lot of helpful things for clients and agents alike. So yeah, if you're in the market for a home inspection, check out our website. You can give us a call at 281-816-7007, and we'll be more than happy to help you.
All right, all right. So I appreciate you coming by, stopping by, and giving us the time to speak to you today. I'm gonna go ahead and
No problem.
stop this recording, and
All right.
we can chat a little bit after. I'll go ahead and
Okay.
exit the recording. All right,
All
those who are
right.
watching, y'all have a blessed one, and you have a blessed one as well. Okay.